Yes, welcome to FHTV Plus, where we'll have a new daily segment for all the daily transfer stories and rumours across the Premier League and European football. And what a great time to do it. There are signings and potential signings going on everywhere, and some of them are involving clubs you wouldn't expect. Some are absolutely the clubs you expect. And every day there seems to be just a little bit more transfer news, and the transfer window has only officially been open for about 36 hours or whatever it is. So welcome to the show. And a few of the players I want to talk about today, and we'll have a look at loads of stories, but a few of the transfer stories I want to look at today. Obviously, the big one, Bryan Mbeumo apparently has given his green light to join Manchester United. We know that a number of different clubs wanted to sign Bryan Mbeumo, but it looks like he is joining Manchester United if they can get a deal over the line, which I can't see why a club the size of Man United wouldn't be able to do that. So we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look. There's Jobe Bellingham. Is he following in the footsteps of his brother by going to Borussia Dortmund and taking the route from English football to Germany and then possibly on to bigger things? How good is Jobe Bellingham? We'll have a look at all of this in a minute. And also the other main story I want to talk about today is Ait-Nouri of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who is going to Manchester City, according to reports. So let's have a look at these reports. Let's see who's said what, shall we? So I'm going to have a look at that right now. So here we go. So if we look at this straight away, there we go. So you can see here that David Ornstein, and again, Romano said these things as well. Romano's had said this as well. He said Bryan Mbeumo has decided that he wants to join Man United. Now, this is interesting, right? Because again, there's always going to be clubs that are interested in players. If we look at the likes of Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, and Tottenham, apparently they all want Mbeumo as well. So David Ornstein goes on to say, now expected to open talks with Brentford to sign the 25-year-old forward this summer. The likes of Arsenal, Newcastle, and Tottenham all interested, but the Cameroon international favours Old Trafford if a deal can be agreed. Now, when you look at this, guys and girls, Bryan Mbeumo, I don't expect that he's not going to be able to get a deal over the line with Man United. I keep hearing that they've got no money. I keep hearing that they are going to struggle, but already they've got Cunha, and now they are looking at Mbeumo as well. Let's have a look. So this season just gone, he's had a very, very good year, hasn't he? He's played 42 games in all competitions, and he's got 20 goals. So just below the 1 every 2 marker, and that's playing for Brentford. Last year, 9 goals. The season before, 9 goals. The seasons before that were 8 goals and 8 goals. So he's slowly but surely got better and better, and it looks like he's matured and grown into a good goal scorer now, especially in the Premier League. This is a guy as well that was playing second fiddle to Ivan Toney for much of the time. Ivan Toney went. They brought in a new striker who, of course, got injured and missed the entire season. But Mbeumo and Vissa said, don't worry about that. Let us take responsibility. And now there's going to be a lot of clubs that will be disappointed that they've not got him if they get this deal through. Now, should other clubs have gone for him? Well, it's like anything in transfers. We don't know who he's talked to. He might have talked to all of those clubs, all their representatives. We don't know. But what we do know is that when David Ornstein says things, he normally gets it spot on. And he said that the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Tottenham, all interested. But he doesn't tell us whether or not any of those clubs had talks with him. We might have. There might have been talks with the agent, but we don't know. What we do know is that he wants to join Man United. And Man United, I'm told, were dead. They're a terrible team. They're not going to be able to buy anyone. And it already looks like their goal output for next season is going to be so much better than it is this season, with Bryan Mbeumo and Cunha in that forward line. And again, I'm going to say it from a Spurs fan point of view, I'm very, very jealous. I'm really jealous of that. I would have taken both of those in the Spurs forward line. And what it does tell you is that Man United, as we know, are going to be letting players go. And we'll get to this a bit later, but the likes of Garnacho are on their way out. The likes of Højlund, apparently he's in talks with Inter Milan. Bruno Fernandes, we know was the bid was on the table from Al Hilal, but has turned that down. He wants to stay at a top club in Europe. So we'll see whether or not that means Man United or elsewhere. But it is very interesting times for Man United, because normally for me, Man U make a lot of signings where I think they're really good players, but are they right for the club? When I look at Cunha, when I look at Mbeumo, I look at them and think, yeah, they are Premier League proven, right? They've got that experience. They're not coming from abroad at the moment. They've been over in this country for a while. So it's all a bit, I would say, exciting for Man United fans. I mean, listen, I'm sure they're used to signing top players over the years, and I don't think there are many top players across the world at the moment. But Mbeumo and Cunha, for me, do a very good job, and I think they really do improve Man United, who are going to have one game a week and now have some goals to finish off the countless chances that they create. So this is going to be interesting now. They know Ruben Amorim is staying, and now Ruben Amorim, it looks like, is going to get his own players. For everyone who's been saying how bad he is, Ruben Amorim, you have to remember he's only had one new player, which was Patrick Dorgu, a young left wing back. Now he's starting to get some forward and firepower into that Man United team. So watch this space to see how this transfer turns out. Let me know in the chat, out of 10, what sort of a signing are we saying for Bryan Mbeumo if Man United get this deal over the line? Is there anybody that's going to come in and take Bryan Mbeumo away from Man United? And I think for anybody that ever wondered about Man United's pull as a football club, well, Man United have no European football at all, and have already gone out and got Cunha, and now looks like they're going to get Mbeumo. So for me, I would say hats off to Man United for going and getting this done quickly. Fair play to them for getting this done quickly. Let's move on to the next transfer, shall we? The one I wanted to talk about, I believe it's the one below this, and it is indeed Rayan Ait-Nouri. Rayan Ait-Nouri of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, here is the problem. When you are a club the size of Wolves, you are, sorry, I just got a feeling I'm going to sneeze in a second, so please bear with me. When you are a club the size of Wolves, I think you kind of know, don't you, that you are going to lose your players. And Rayan Ait-Nouri, for me, I've been very impressed with him the last few years. He has now played a number of games for Wolves. In total, he's played 151 games, starting with a loan from Angers in France, and has played the last 4 Premier League seasons as a regular starter for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, again, we know that he can play left back. We know that he can play left wing back. And what I like about Ait-Nouri, I've always thought that he looks very good on the ball. He looks very good on the ball for me. You know, nice and comfortable, can come into the middle of the park and play, can go on the outside. He looks big. He looks strong. He looks like he's got an engine. And I think that this will only do wonders for Manchester City. And let's be fair, when Pep Guardiola comes calling, most people will answer that door. So David Ornstein again here has said, Manchester City pursuing a deal to sign Rayan Ait-Nouri from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Agreements still need to be reached with Wolves and the Algerian international, but all parties now expect the move to happen. Now, guys, David Ornstein here is saying, this is their main left-back target. How often does City lose out on their main target? So when we go through that, agreement still needs to be reached. You would think that Man City will have no problem in agreeing that fee. You would think. Nothing's 100% in life, but you would think that they have all the money to get that deal over the line. And I fail to believe that there are going to be any problems in setting personal terms with Ait-Nouri. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Because Manchester City, we know, are in a rebuild. And that word gets used wrong all the time by many clubs. My club are very guilty of it. Spurs are in a rebuild. A rebuild from what? I always say, what are we rebuilding from and to? Man City have won everything in football for the last decade. They are in a rebuild. They are a team that last year won the Premier League. This year failed to win anything. And you already saw in the summer with people like Nico Gonzalez coming in, people like Mamouche, people like Kusanov, that Pep Guardiola is rebuilding. Looks like they're getting Rayan Cherky as well. And it also looks like they're getting Tijani Reinders from AC Milan. So it looks like there's a massive rebuild going on at Man City. And I wouldn't put it past Man City to get more players through the door. But when we look at Manchester City's left-back area, it's been a bit of a problem for them over the years, hasn't it? You know, they've had a bit of Mendy playing there. They had a little bit of Zinchenko playing there. And it's never really been the strongest part of their defence, you would say. They've always had Kyle Walker at right back where it's looked really strong. And the likes of Company and John Stones, you know, and Ruben Diaz and Akanji at centre-half. Never really nailed down that left-back side. You know, they've never really got that sorted. Now, Vardy has come in the last 2 years and has kind of been there. But I remember reading a report earlier in the season. Kolarov's another one. Thank you, Phil. Kolarov's another one they had that was in there. But in recent years, they've struggled in that area. And it looks to me that, and listening to a report, I read a report a while back where Pep Guardiola was talking more about he sees Vardy as a centre-back. I think he's a better centre-back as well. By the way, Vardy, top player. Strong, quick, powerful, scores goals, good in the tackle, top footballer. I think what we might see is Vardy moving to the middle of the park. And I think what we might see then is Ait-Nouri going to that left-back area. And it gives them a bit more solidity in the middle for me. Because John Stones, fabulous footballer, starting to get very, very injury-prone, isn't he, the last few years? How long will Diaz be there for? We don't know. Akanji, obviously, is still there. Ake starting to pick up a lot of injuries. Another one that floats between left back and centre back. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see if they get this over the line. I like Ait-Nouri. I think he's a really good footballer. I think it's a clever signing from Manchester City. And I do think that Pep Guardiola, working with a player of this ilk, will be able to get the best out of him. Now, I might be completely wrong on that, but I truly think he will get the best out of Ait-Nouri. I truly believe that. We'll see if I'm right. We will see if I'm right. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Sorry, my settings for some reason weren't working there. Sorry. There we go. Boom. Sorry. I don't know why that wasn't working. So I think he'll get the best out of him. Who are Wolves going to replace him with? Well, Wolves seem to do a really good job, don't they? Scouring Europe, Portugal mostly, to find these players. They might have somebody that is already within their midst. Who knows? Let's see. Now, let's move away from Ait-Nouri and let's move away from actually, we'll stick with Ornstein for this story. Jadon Sancho leaving Chelsea when his contract ends on June the 30th after the agreement could not be reached over personal terms for loan to turn permanent. That means that Chelsea will have a penalty of $5 million to pay to Man United. And the 25-year-old is going to explore options in England and Europe for the next move. Now, let me know in the chat, anyone surprised anyone shocked that Jadon Sancho is not going to Chelsea on a permanent? For me, decent player, no more, no less. I think if Chelsea really do have plans to get back to the top table, and I don't mean top four, I mean if they've got plans to really go at the Champions League, to really go at the Premier League, I do think that they need to get better players in. Now, Fabrizio Romano on this story actually said that the problem was that Chelsea didn't want to pay the same salary that he's on at Man United. Now, if that's the case, I understand that it's probably cheaper for them to pay the 5 million and say, thank you very much. He scored a goal in a cup final. See you later. We're off. But the question is this: where does Jadon Sancho go? Where does this guy go to? Does he go back to Germany, maybe a Borussia Dortmund, to replace Bino Gittins, who is currently in talks with Chelsea? So it'll all be a bit full circle. Does he go somewhere else in Europe where he's not been before? Does he go to another club? Maybe he stays in London. Tottenham going for him. A Fulham. I don't know. Newcastle maybe going in for a Sancho. Let me know. I'm not sure about Jadon Sancho. I feel like let me know if you agree with me. I feel like I want him to be so much better than he is, and he looks like he's got all the attributes to be better than he is. But I always just find him patchy. I always find him a little bit underwhelming. Now, hopefully that makes sense. I'm not saying he's not a good footballer, but I just don't know. Feels like a lot of games I look at and I'm really underwhelmed with him. So let me know what you think about Jadon Sancho. Where will he end up? We know that Man United are selling Rashford, Højlund, Garnacho, Sancho. We know they're having a clean sweep, and fair play to them for that. But where will Jadon Sancho end up? Now, if we move away from David Ornstein, let's have a little look at what Fabrizio Romano is saying, shall we? Let's look at some of the recent stories for him. We saw this morning that Bruno Fernandes has rejected the proposal from Al Hilal, wants to stay at the top level in Europe. And I respect that. Fair play. I respect that. Far too many players we've seen jump for massive money. But, I mean, listen, I'm sure he's handsomely paid anyway, but you know what I mean. So for me, I think this will be a really, really good signing, a really good move for Bruno Fernandes to reject Al Hilal and either stay at Man United or go to another top European club. Let me know your thoughts on that one. As we scroll down, you'll see here that Al Hilal, again, they're in the news and they're looking to take Simone Inzaghi. And Fabrizio has said that Al Hilal management arriving in Europe to advance on the summer plans as they expect Simone Inzaghi to accept the head coach job after meeting with Inter later today. Now, this is an interesting one for me because this is just a managerial version of the mercenary players. I understand it. It's huge money. We're talking about £25 million a year salary. It is huge. And I understand why no one would turn that down. I just feel that Inzaghi doesn't need to be doing that yet in his career. Let me know what you think, because I get it. It's such a huge sum of money. But does Inzaghi need to be going out there right now? Could he get a top European club somewhere? He's got credit in the bank. I know they've just had the disastrous final, but he's got Serie A titles, cup titles in the bank. Should he be going there? I'm not so sure myself. Let's have a look here. Now, this is a story that's broken in the last couple of hours. We're going to have loads of these, aren't we, throughout the year? We're going to have throughout the summer. Romano has said, an exclusive, Chelsea have approached AC Milan to sign goalkeeper Mike Maignan from AC Milan. Maignan still not signed a new contract at the club, and Chelsea are now aware of the situation. He's always been high on the Chelsea list, with clubs in talks, decision up to Milan. Now, this is interesting, because I think most people I don't speak for Chelsea fans. I'm a Spurs fan. Most people would probably look at Chelsea and go, well, one thing they need to do much better is they need a top striker, a top centre-half, and a top goalkeeper. This man is brilliant. This man is very well regarded. Let me know in the chat right now. What are you thinking? Are you taking Mike Maignan at your club? I think he's a top goalkeeper. For me, I think it's a no-brainer for Chelsea. I think he's much better than the goalkeepers they've got. When you look at Sanchez and Jorgensen, I think he's much better than these goalkeepers. The other one is Petkovic, isn't it? Is it Petkovic? So I think for me, this would be a real no-brainer for the Chelsea hierarchy to go after this. AC Milan, though, we know that their fans have protested. We know that the ultras have protested. We know that they've got a new director of football coming in. We know they've got a new manager coming in. Will they want to let Maignan go? A lot behind this. There's a lot behind this. I'm not so sure, guys. I really, really do not know whether this is one that Chelsea will be able to get over the line. If they do, then we'll see. Good point from Craig in the chat, saying an awful injury record and not for him. Top goalkeeper. But again, you're right. You do have to look at things like an injury record. So let me know your thoughts on that one. As we scroll down, see, we'll just move on from this, but Rangers are closing in on the appointment of Russell Martin as the new head coach. Obviously, he was the ex-Southampton manager that got sacked after losing to Spurs 5-0. One of the better days this season for Tottenham Hotspur. Again, more news about Jadon Sancho. This one's interesting. Fabrizio Romano just reposting a post that he'd already put out there about the new AC Milan director we were just talking about, Igliter. He dreams of bringing Luka Modric to the club. He's one of the names mentioned in initial internal talks. Now, this will be an interesting one because we all know that the Serie A, good league, slightly slower pace than some of the other leagues. Could that be suitable for Modric? And what is he now? 39, maybe 40, something like that. We know he's a great footballer. But would that be a good move for him to go out to AC Milan? Are we going to see a new look AC Milan team next season? This is going to be very interesting for any of those that, like me, like Serie A. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with AC Milan. They've just had a really bad year. It's not gone well for them. Managers leaving, directors leaving, players leaving. It's all been a little bit crazy. Then we move down to more Jadon Sancho talk. This is an interesting one. He understands that Inter Milan have made contact with Rasmus Højlund's camp in the recent days as talks have started for the Danish striker. He's saying he exclusively revealed it 2 days ago, and Højlund is one of the main options on Inter's shortlist with Parma's Bonney and more. Now, this is an interesting one for me because if I'm Inter Milan, I am looking at this and going, surely we can do better. Now, I feel sorry for Rasmus Højlund, and let me let you know why. I feel sorry for Rasmus Højlund because for me, he shouldn't be a number one of a club like Man United. I truly believe that. I don't think that he should be a number one. For me, and this is unfortunately a sad indictment of the times we're in, he went for a huge fee to Man United. I don't think he was ready to be that leading striker. And for me, he should be the player that's learning from a top striker. He should be the player learning from someone like a Gyökeres, for example. He, for me, shouldn't be the main man. However, pushing all that to the side, is this the guy for Inter Milan? Maybe he goes there and discovers some form. Maybe he gets coached better. I don't know because we don't know who the Inter Milan manager is going to be if Inzaghi leaves. So there's a lot to this one. But I'll admit, when I saw this, I did go, oh. Sometimes you look at transfer news and you go, yeah, that makes sense. This one, for me, I looked at and went, I'm not sure. I'll be interested to see what Man United fans and what Inter Milan fans think of this one. as we scroll down a bit further, talks apparently between Al Hilal and Ederson's camp. Ederson, obviously, of Atalanta. Again, I'm going to say it, people. His age, his ability, for me, surely should be going to a top European club. But when the money comes calling, some, not all, as we saw with Bruno Fernandes, some really can't look the other way, can they? And this screams of that for me. And he's gone on to say that Atalanta midfielder high on the Al Hilal list, especially if Simone Inzaghi decides to join the project. Official proposal could follow soon, not sent yet. I'll be gutted. I think there's a lot of clubs in Europe that could have done with this boy. I mean, my team would have absolutely done with this lad. But hey, it is what it is. And it looks like Al Hilal will be in for him, to keep an eye on that one. Some news there that Napoli have maintained that their plan for Kevin De Bruyne is to join the club after international games. Great signing for Napoli. I think obviously another player where his legs have started to go. Top player, one of the best players I've ever seen in the Premier League. But it is what it is. He's left the Premier League now. By all accounts, it looks like he is going to join Antonio Conte and Napoli. And this is going to be very interesting to see what sort of a role is he given in an Antonio Conte system. But for me, I think that looks like a very, very good signing if done. And fair play to Napoli. And all reports are saying that they might be getting Jonathan David as well. So watch this space. Then if we look, Crystal Palace are showing interest in the Juventus defender Thiago Diallo ahead of the summer plans for a new centre-back. Let's be honest, it looks like, by all accounts, that Mark Guehi will be leaving Palace, so they need a centre-back. A player I've seen a few times, looks good, and let's be fair, Palace always seem to scout very, very well. Lots of talks again. They are in the news, aren't they? Al Hilal look like they're trying to buy everybody. Looks like they've agreed terms with AC Milan for Theo Hernandez for 30 million euros initial fee with 5 million euro add-ons, but there's still no agreement on personal terms. I have no doubt they will get personal terms sorted. So again, another player that is leaving Europe, going out to the Far East. Let me know what you think. For me, I almost find it sad seeing so many of them do it, if I'm brutally honest. But hey, it is what it is. Quickly, by the way, smash the likes. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please make sure that you do. It really does help the channel grow. And just a few more. Let's have a look. Won't talk about Federico Chiesa. We've done these ones. Lamine Yamal. Nottingham Forest could be losing Danilo. It looks like he's on his way to Olympique Lyonnais for a fee of 25 million euros. Could be. But Romano's saying here that the final green light is needed from Nottingham Forest. And then Danilo can join Lyon. So that's going to be very, very, very interesting to see what happens with Danilo. I've spoken to some Forest fans today who are telling me that he's decent and they'd be gutted. And then the last one we're going to go through today, Jobe Bellingham. Jobe Bellingham, brother of Jude, of course. Jobe Bellingham has given his priority to join Borussia Dortmund. Decision in principle has been made, as Bild have reported out there in Germany. Sunderland have currently no intention to negotiate under the release clause of 40 million euros. Now, I've seen another report, I can't remember what it was, that said that Sunderland might take 30. But this is a player that is interesting because whenever I've watched him, I've never been blown away. There's talent there, but for me, I would have thought maybe he wanted a year in the Premier League. You know, he's played for Sunderland for a while now. Just got promotion to the Premier League. You would have been thinking, aren't you going to test yourself a little bit in the Premier League? Aren't you going to see how that goes? But apparently not. Apparently it looks like if they can strike a deal, that he's going to get this over the line. So guys and girls, let me know your thoughts. Lots of interesting transfer stories. There's going to be loads, and we're going to have another one of these tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts. Please like, please subscribe. I do appreciate everyone. There'll be one of these every day. We've got live watch-alongs on this channel coming up throughout this week for the Nations League and for England's World Cup qualifiers. So please smash the like button. Please subscribe. Take care. And shamelessly, as always, come on, you Spurs.